I usually avoid playing ranked, mostly because it's at tier 5 or tier 6 the majority of the time, but this time we have tier 7 ranked. So I sat around thinking what ship is going to be a good choice, and I settled on the tier 7 premium Soviet battleship Borodino. That mostly comes down to the 11.7 kilometer radar. Very handy if you do not find yourself allied with a radar cruiser or a radar destroyer. I guess there are a couple of those at tier 7 as well. The radar, however, is not going to make any difference whatsoever to the outcome of this battle. The big difference just goes down to sort of the basic tactics of World of Warships Legends. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that today because in all of the ranked games that I've played so far, I see the same thing. Criminal misplay, you might call it. Basically, what happens is one team decides to group up all together in the same place on the map. When that occurs, and when the opposing team spreads out across the map, the team that's grouped up finds itself caught in a hopeless crossfire. And that's what we're going to see develop in this match, essentially. You'll note that the friendly destroyer is currently pushing into the Alpha Cap. He's got two battleships following him. And then I'm coming over here to the Charlie Cap, and it looks like the friendly cruiser has noticed and is going to join me. Meanwhile, the entirety of the enemy team is grouped up in the center. And so they're going to have to face me from this end of the map, and then the two battleships from the other end of the map, meaning they're going to be caught in a crossfire. And right now it looks like they've got those two battleships in sight, so they're going to tunnel vision on those two for most of the game. Those two are essentially going to provide the anvil to my sort of hammer. This is especially relevant in battleships as well, and we see mostly battleships in all of these ranked seasons, at least in my experience. The worst thing you can do with a battleship is put it right next to a friendly battleship. What you want to do is get as far away as possible from your friendly battleships in order to make it so the enemy team has to choose which one of you they angle to. If they can't angle to both, they're going to have to present broadside or near enough to the other. And then you've got crossfires. You've got access to citadels. This is basic positioning 101. We've stopped here, though. The Vladivostok is in front of us. You can see he's trying to break away from his teammates and acquire a better angle on some stuff. He's just not really in the right place to do that, but at least it's nice to see that the idea might be present there. Meanwhile, the enemy destroyer has, for some reason, neglected to take the Bravo cap. I don't understand this at all, and I think part of the reason the results turn out the way they do is because of the choices the enemy destroyer makes. We haven't been spotted, by the way. The Charlie Cap is not turning red. Actually, Bravo is now, so I suppose that is the enemy destroyer. He's reversing into it. That makes a lot of sense, but then again, the Bravo Cap stops turning red. What is going on here? We remain spotted, and then we go dark, so the destroyer is still not in front of us. We don't want to push out into his torpedoes, so we're going to wait a little while. We've got the radar ready to go. We know that nothing is in our C detectability range, so once we lose the firing penalty and we go dark, if we're spotted, probably means the destroyer is within radar range and we'll be able to deal with him. We decide to inch forward a little bit after another disappointing salvo on the Vladivostok, and that's when the Z-23 appears. Now, I thought for sure torpedoes were going to be coming in my direction, so I continue to kick it into full gear. The idea is to turn to the right. We have an island between us and the majority of the enemy team in the center. Vladivostok is not at a favorable angle, so if we turn to the right, we will be able to avoid any incoming torpedoes, but I think if there were any incoming, we would have seen them by now. And we don't. Instead, we see the Z-23, for some reason, opening fire on the friendly Atago to our left. Not exactly sure what the thought process is there. The Z-23 is shooting AP at the Atago, who doesn't really appear to be broadside to him, and it looks like the Atago is even shooting AP in return. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but the Z-23 doesn't appear to have any smoke. Even if he did, it wouldn't matter thanks to the radar, and we're able to take him out for our first kill of the game and the first blood ribbon. Take a look at the enemy team, by the way. You see how they're all clustered up in the same grid square aside from the Baltimore. That's not great. They are potentially presenting an unfavorable angle to me. Certainly this Vladivostok is. We'll see if he gets blessed by RNGesus once more, as he has for the 3 salvos, or the 2 we sent previously, and the 3rd time's a charm. 0 damage, but a gun destroyed. Looks like they were all tunnel visioned on the friendly battleship who decided to push straight into him. Not exactly the best maneuver. If you're going to push straight into 3 enemy ships and take all that focus fire, you're likely going to sink, as the friendly battleship demonstrates. But it's okay. We've lost 1. The enemy team, more importantly, has lost their destroyer. Meanwhile, our destroyer has secured Alpha and secured Bravo, and now he's over here launching torpedoes at the Bismarck. 2nd battleship goes down, but it's all right. These guys were in a fight with them long enough, just focusing each other back and forth, losing a bit of HP, and we, I think, are in an advantageous position. We see the Baltimore and the Vladivostok going either toward the Alpha or Bravo caps. We've got this island to our right that will protect us from fire from either of those 2, so it's just the Bismarck and the Alabama we have to focus on. Bismarck takes a lot of damage from the friendly destroyer, so of course we finish him off for our 2nd kill of the game. And now only Alabama is fighting us. Now Alabama's not exactly at a favorable angle, and I don't really enjoy playing battleships in this sort of stationary bow tanking position. It's not really a good idea to do that, especially if you're going to make a maneuver like one of our friendly battleships did with pushing into a bunch of enemy ships and getting focused. But if you've got an island to your right, you know there's no imminent torpedo threats, and you're limiting the people who can focus on you, like we are with this Alabama, it's not that big of a deal. Although our bow, of course, is overmatchable by the Alabama, so if he does aim at us, he can do quite a bit of damage. His bow is not overmatchable by us, so we're going to have to aim into his superstructure and maybe at his guns to deal some good damage. He gets hit with a torpedo, courtesy of the Otago, but does not go down, and of course bounces 2 of the shells from our guns that make contact with him. Still alive, friendly destroyer is going at him, perhaps trying to secure his own kill. And apologies to the friendly destroyer. Well, not really, but we're going to take that kill if we have anything to say about it. Alabama opens up the angle ever so slightly, and we're able to take him down with a single overpen there. That just leaves the Baltimore and the Vladivostok left alive. Baltimore is headed toward Alpha. He is giving us broadside, sort of stationary there in the map. And our reload is almost off of cooldown. There's that beautiful broadside. We take aim. However, the Baltimore is accelerating, and the acceleration makes it so our shells do not make contact with the Citadel. The Citadel on these American cruisers is right in the center of the ship. Beneath the turrets on the front and the back, the Citadel is underwater, and thus we get overpens on the Baltimore. But that's okay. We know exactly where that Citadel is, and we are going to adjust our aim this time. We aim a little bit high since Baltimore is turning away. Shells hit right in the center, 2 Citadels, high caliber metal, and Baltimore goes down for our 4th kill of the game. That just leaves the enemy Vladivostok, who has taken the Alpha Cap, but it's too little too late. We're still alive, we've got full HP, and even if we go down, we've got the friendly destroyer behind us. That destroyer is responsible for taking 2/3 of the caps that we got in this game, so he clearly knows what he's doing. He's playing the objectives, and he's doing a good job of it. Even if we go down in our greedy pursuit of a Kraken, he should be able to take out that Vladivostok and win the game for us. We do deploy the radar for the only time in this battle just to see what Vladivostok is doing, hoping he's going to come around that corner broadside. But of course, he's aware of our presence here, so he's going to tighten up the angle. And, well, this time we actually get some damage into him. Friendly destroyer also opens up to take down his HP. But the goal here is to secure the Kraken and sink all 5 ships on the enemy team. We can do that with a ram. Ideally, though, we want to do that with our guns. Rams are just kind of not great. We don't want to give this Vladivostok all our HP. And he's low enough that we are able to take him out with the guns for the Kraken Unleashed. Only 91,000 damage done. Not a huge amount, considering all the enemy HP that was present in this battle, but we get high caliber, Kraken, 2600 XP, Brutus is kicking the desk, And I think that's a pretty nice ranked game. So if you take anything away from this battle, the advice would be spread out. Don't group up on one side of the map, just spread out so that you can create crossfires. That is how you're going to win ranked games, and you don't even necessarily need to communicate with your teammates to do that. All you need to do is pay attention to what they're doing when the game opens up and ask yourself, where can you go to be effective? That's what we did at the opening of this battle, and it did allow us to take out literally all of the enemy ships. So I hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.